Trump is about to accept quite possibly the largest foreign gift ever received by the United States government. And it comes courtesy of Qatar, where the royal family is set to gift the president a super luxury Boeing 747-8 jumbo jet. The gift is expected to be announced when Trump visits Qatar as part of his trip to the Middle East, his first major foreign trip, which he's scheduled to leave for tomorrow. Moments ago, the White House responded that any gift given by a foreign government is always accepted in full compliance with all applicable laws. President Trump's administration is committed to full transparency.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the Midas Touch Network. One of Donald Trump's most successful political innovations is grifting right out in the open. It used to be that corrupt politicians, those who had the capacity to feel shame, hid their corruption. They were afraid of being discovered, afraid of accountability. Donald Trump has rewritten that entire playbook. Some of this is undoubtedly due to his psychological makeup. We've talked about that here before with experts who make a compelling case that Donald Trump doesn't feel shame the way the rest of us do. But a lot of it is due to the people around Trump who not only enable but encourage the worst kinds of corruption, taking bribes from foreign countries, stealing from your most ardent and often poorest supporters. By doing it out in the open, it becomes normalized. What would have dominated the news in an earlier political era is just one more below-the-fold story about Trump's unusual approach to his responsibilities as president. But there is nothing normal about his grift. I talked to Joe Walsh about this because Joe, as a former Republican and co-founder of the Tea Party, has a rare perspective on these things. Here's our conversation. Welcome to the Ken Harbaugh Show. I'm joined by Joe Walsh, a former Republican congressman and one of the founders of the Tea Party. But in the years since, Joe has done more than just about anybody I know to expose the lies and the grift of MAGA and Trumpism. But Joe, I'm wondering if even you have been surprised at the level of corruption. We just heard about this Qatari gift of a 747 to Donald Trump, which can be used for his private use after his presidency. We've got the Trump meme coin. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I think even the cynics amongst us have been shocked at the brazenness of the corruption of Trump 2.0.
Ken, always good to be with you. Not shocked. I'm so fucking pissed off at the media. Trump wins when you and I have talked forever. Trump wins when we normalize him. And we normalize him. And we normalized him, and that's how we got reelected. And we normalize this. A fucking $400 million plane, Hillary or Obama, and that's all the New York Times and CNN is talking about. But with Trump, Ken, it's just like, oh, that's Trump. Fuck this. We deserve this, I guess, is what I'm saying. We deserve it.
It's funny you put it that way because it makes me think about how Trump's scandalous, scammy meme coin unfolded. And the data is coming in now, and it's showing that, I'm just going to read the headline, 58 crypto wallets, usually reflecting individuals, made millions on his meme coin, and 764,000 lost money. When you say we deserve this, I mean, it's the people who believe in him most who are getting effed the most by his scams. And it happens again and again and again with his trading cards, now with this meme coin. I mean, his disdain for his own followers is unbelievable.
And I'll be honest, Ken, I don't know the first thing about crypto and meme coin. Honestly, I don't. And it's corruption right out there. Donald Trump is enriching himself. You led the show by saying Joe Walsh, more than almost anybody, is out there railing against Trump. Ken, one of the reasons I'm that way is because I'm a sinner. As you know, the old Joe Walsh voted for Trump. The old Joe Walsh came from MAGA. So I feel like a special obligation all these years to go after him. But you're right. I still engage with his supporters every fucking day. And I look, good people, but they won't turn against him until or if they feel pain. This meme coin thing, they just laugh at. Now, the plane, I've heard from his supporters, like a little bit bothered by that, a little bit bothered. I don't know what you've heard, but like they understand a $400 million plane from Qatar.
There's not enough men like me who do whatever they want.
Are you sick of it yet?
Those people need to be, when we take power, they need to be given the death penalty.
The anger.
I live like a capitalist every single day, Cenk. I live as a capitalist.
The hate.
And we have a system of checks and balances. That's a good one. That's really funny. We do?
The idea that to be a man, you have to be a bully. Fuck you! We should be better than this.
Females don't have independent thought. They don't come up with anything.
Our kids deserve better than this.
It's like women want equal rights when it's convenient, but then they still want the door open for them.
So help us change it. Subscribe to Valor Media Network, where you can find shows on sports, men's health, and patriotism without the resentment and division.
True strength is about discipline, resilience, and service.
If you've wondered where all the positive role models are, especially for young men, check out Navy SEAL Dan Barkov and Commander Bobby Jones as they share stories of service and sacrifice.
Being good at being a man is about what you do for others and not what you do for yourself.
Listen to Jason Tander and co-hosts Ravi Gupta and Adisu Demisi give you the inside track on the politics of sports.
I just want to take back what I said about the Bills. No, because in all honesty, your team seems to have gotten the vaccination thing right. Okay. My team seems to be struggling with it.
These shows and many more from Valor Media Network prove that you don't have to be an asshole to connect with young men today. Subscribe to Valor Media Network today. Well, that's the thing. Maybe it's who is giving it that is finally waking people up. I love your framing or your explanation of your zealousness around going after Trump. It reminds me of that phrase, there's no zealot like the convert. And I'm not suggesting that you have sins to make up for, but when you are speaking out, you have a credibility that very few do. And I'm sure that your passion comes from having that Damascene moment, Paul on the road to Damascus, right? And the conversion was real.
Ken, I've said this to you before, and I feel it in my gut. I have to live with the fact that I helped create Trump. I helped create his following. I helped create the conditions for a horrible human being to get in the White House. I was a divisive SOB. I helped create this. I feel that. That's real. But like I'm hoping that as you know, Ken, not everybody who voted for him comes from his hardcore base. A lot of people who voted for him told me last year, Joe, I know he's an asshole, but the Democrats suck. I heard that over and over. Those are people who I'm hearing from now who are bothered by some of the stuff he's doing, the tariff bullshit. Those are the people who are reachable.
You said that they're going to have to feel pain to come around. I am of two minds about that. And this is at the core of my political messaging conflict. On one hand, I am so angry that it wasn't enough for those lukewarm Trump voters to see what he was doing to the marginalized, to see what he was planning to do to immigrants or the LGBTQ community, that it didn't matter that other people were going to suffer enormously as long as they were fine. On the other hand, I want to win elections. I want to make sure that he doesn't have a complicit House in 2026 and that he doesn't get a third term in 2028. So I want to be able to talk to those people. How do we get over ourselves? And I'm not lumping you in with this category, but the lefties like me who still have this rage at those who wouldn't listen in the last cycle. And I'm out there telling people to get over the I told you so's, but in my gut, I still feel that anger.
You need to hold on to that anger, Ken, because look, I feel it every day as well. But when I turned on Trump 7 years ago, all of the original Never Trumpers said, "Fuck you, Joe. You voted for him. Where were you?" And I recoiled against that. So I embrace anybody who wakes up and gets out of that cult.
That was part 1 of my conversation with Joe Walsh. Check out part 2 later this week, in which we talk about holding accountable those who enable the kind of rampant corruption we're seeing. And if you haven't subscribed to Valor Media Network yet, click the link below. It'll really help us out. Thanks again.